Welcome back to Miles from Ordinary with me, Jess Laymonth.
And me, Bex Milnes.
We've gone for. I've joined you on the bikes in the background.
Look at us. We're a walking advert. Anyone could come and nick them now.
Well, I'm sat on the floor in the gym because the gym now is just an echo-away shell of a room, basically, with the photos everywhere and bubble wrap. We're in the final stages, Bex, of moving house. Hopefully.
In the trenches, good and proper.
Oh, honestly, I don't know if I'm coming or going. But we should be exchanging tomorrow.
I actually can't believe this is happening as smoothly as it's happened.
I know.
Considering how long ago was it that you had your offer accepted?
I don't even know.
It can't be more than a couple of months. And I remember thinking,
yeah,
when you were like still looking at houses and you're like, well, it needs to be done by August, middle of August. I remember thinking, there's no chance.
yeah, I know.
And now look, you've like got everything packed, gonna sign contracts. You're like 90% of the way there.
Well, this is the thing. I think you've jinxed us now. We still haven't. You cannot say that you've sold and you're buying until you've exchanged. So I am still a bit concerned that I've gone really heavy on the packing. And if it doesn't go through, we're going to be living in a shell of a house for a long time.
Because you're not unpacking.
I am not unpacking. I'm just going to put the boxes in there. And if anybody comes round, just say, we don't bother with interior design. But hopefully it is going to go through and it'll all work out. And who'd have thought, like the amount of people we speak to about houses, if it goes through, I daren't mention it to anyone. It's one of those, it's like if you have a baby that sleeps, you think, don't tell anybody. I'm not saying anything. How does he sleep? Oh, it's a nightmare. Because you don't want to admit it, because you don't want to make anyone feel bad. But yeah, if they ask me if it goes through, I'll just say, oh, yeah, it's a nightmare selling houses. Because we have been so lucky.
Do you know what? This is your experience of house buying, considering this was your first house together, and I'm presuming that purchase was pretty simple, and then you've gone to the next and it's been ultra simple. You've really got a false impression of what it's like, I tell you.
I have. Although I do know that moving house and getting rid of loads of crap that you've saved for so long is an absolute pain. But yeah, I'm loving life. It's funny because John's never really moved house. His parents have never moved house in the whole time he's been alive. And then all he's done is move into a new house from his house. So he hadn't done an exchange and a full, the full scenario. So he's loving it. He's really enjoying the experience. No, what I was going to say is a good job. It's been an easy experience because he would not cope. He would not cope.
Stressing for the two of you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. His life. That's what he always says, that he has more stress because I don't stress. And he's like, he's stressing because I'm too laid back. Anyway, what's been happening in your life?
Well, to be honest, if we're being really honest, it's been a couple of days since we recorded the last podcast, so my life updates are fairly limited. Other than I had a really relaxed weekend where I just caught up with some friends and was at home, which is a rarity. And that's about it. But you're looking a little bit different. What's going on?
Oh, right. So yesterday, so this is the problem, that people will look at me and think, God, she looks rough. But I mean, I do look a bit rough anyway because, I'm pregnant and I very rarely take care of my appearance. But we were doing pizzas yesterday, me and John, and he'd gone out for a run, and I thought I'll just put Fred to bed and I turned pizza oven on. But it's a gas oven, pizza oven. So you like turn the knob of the gas and then you wait for it to click like a hob. And then I thought, has it clicked? And I could hear the gas. So then I had my hand round the back and I thought, I'll just click it again, but I took some time in doing it. So then I thought, well, I need to check if there's a flame because I wasn't sure, because I was thinking, have I turned it on or not? And if not, I need to see if there's the flame. So I put my head around the front and oh my God, clicked it and it was just like engulfed me, this massive big flame bomb. It was like the shock of my life. I'm not even joking, just went, whoa, like this. And I didn't even know what to think. And all I could smell were burning. And then I went inside because they were like traumatized. I was like, I don't even know what's happened. Went inside and all my eyebrows and eyelashes have gone. So I've got stubs of eyelashes. I'm absolutely fuming about it because I'm pregnant. Your hair falls out. I googled it straight away and it says 6 weeks it's going to be. So I'm going to be bald for 6 weeks. I can't believe it. And it's not even going to be 6 weeks because the baby's then going to be breastfeeding. I'm going to be bald for ages.
I know what happened, but you surely must have been like inches away from melting your face off there.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, absolutely. Yeah, John came back from his run and he was like, are you all right? Because all my hair, I'd not noticed, but all my hair were just like, I can't even describe it. It was like a scarecrow. Like the whole of my hair, it just completely it was like I had a small perm in my hair because it all just burned. Oh my God. And I told him, and obviously he's a gas man, innit? He was just like, you are joking. I'm like, John, it was he said, well, you're lucky that you hadn't burnt the entire face.
Yeah, you really
How
are.
mad is that? I haven't got any burn on me at all. It's just taken all my hair off. And I can still smell it now.
Oh my!
Honestly, I absolutely stunk.
You're banned from doing anything moving forwards.
Well, this is my life at the minute, Bex. I did say to you, didn't I? Because I've got so much going on. I'm just doing stuff like this all the time. I mean, putting unedited podcasts out, burning my entire face off. I came back and John was like, "Oh, you have got a little bit. You can just crimp them." I was like, "There's nothing to crimp." If you went to get like eyelash curlers,
yeah,
he wouldn't even make it to the eyelash curler, and he would try to tell me to curl them. I'm like, I cannot do that. And then all day I just it felt so weird on my eye because they protect your eyes a bit, and it felt really odd.
you're gonna have to go and get some fake lashes. You know, the stick-on ones.
Yeah, John said the same, but I don't know if they'd have enough to get it on. And you know what, Bex? I've got enough going on. There's no way that I'm going to get time to bloody go to put eyelashes on.
No,
That's what
please,
John said.
we do that? Can we do that for the next 6 weeks? You can just go through various different eyelash products, and we'll judge it.
You'll see me next week. I'm like that. No, once we've moved in and everything's settled down, I'm going to have to. I said I can't last. And my eyebrows, it's as if someone's given me one blade. I have got eyebrows, but they're just like tiny. Oh dear. Honest to God, I couldn't believe it. I thought 6 weeks. It makes such a difference because then when I put I've tried. I thought, well, I'll just put some mascara on, see if that makes it better. It definitely done. It definitely done. So I've already got googly eyes. Like my eyes. Yeah, but my eyes are right set in my head. Like you see a skeleton. And they've got that's basically my head is a skeleton. You can see the actual eye sockets. So I've got googly eyes, and now it's way worse.
But you're going to put that modelling career on hold for the next 6 weeks at least.
Yeah, exactly. John was like, I can't even tell. I thought, oh, nice one. You definitely can. It's just, but I mean, if he's not bothered, then it doesn't really matter, does it?
Well, did Fred notice?
No, he hadn't noticed. He hadn't said anything. That would be bad. If a 2-year-old's noticing it, then I will be getting straight to the eyelashes. No, he had mentioned, he hadn't asked why I've got no eyebrows. Thankfully. But yeah, we haven't had much, and we haven't had anything in between, have we? Because we're just going back to back with podcasts.
We're on it. We're getting ahead of the game, and we've just whether we've just wrapped up. I don't know. However, this gets edited, whether we've just wrapped up or we're just about to interview Sam Dickinson.
Yeah, should we get him in?
Let's get him in.
Hi, Samuel.
Hello.
Oh, we can hear you perfect.
Yeah, that's a revelation.
Good. Is that not normally the case?
Well, I don't know. I'm sure you're not a podcast listener, Sam, but it's very rough around the edges. To the point where we're straight in. No introduction. You're just getting thrown in the deep end, I'm afraid.
No better way. Let's crack on.
Oh, but also we're on YouTube, so have you
done my face,
dressed up,
put my face on?
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I've had to come to a different chalet because ours doesn't have Wi-Fi. So we're around where Brad and K-Rod are staying in G and Vince's spot because the Wi-Fi is really good.
Course them too. Obviously, living the life of luxury, they're going to have all the Wi-Fi, aren't they? How come you've not got Wi-Fi? That is pretty tragic.
Yeah, it is rough. But it is what it is. You can go and get like a Wi-Fi box there. I'm going to the little orange shop tomorrow, like old school orange shop on the corner. Like it's you usually do it on your phone nowadays.
Yeah, exactly. And just get like Wi-Fi on your phone. But then there's a lot of downtime. Anyway, we should say, where are you in the world?
I'm in Font-Romeu in the Pyrenees for an altitude training camp.
And is it the first time you've been to Font-Romeu? No.
It's the second time. I went last year.
I see. I've never been. Have you, Bex?
No, although not long back from the Pyrenees. I was in the Pyrenees last week, but not at Font-Romeu. I've always heard good things about Font-Romeu. I think traditionally training camps from a British triathlon standpoint have been in Saint-Moritz, but something tells me the prices are up and Font-Romeu is.
Yeah, it's definitely everyone's catching up with it, but every man and their dogs up here. It's a very you see a lot of squads, a lot of people you recognize, a lot of hellos, which is kind of nice to see though. But it's a good place to train, yeah.
Yeah, that used to be in Saint-Moritz. You used to see a lot of people, but the ones you did see were like affluent nations. Because Saint-Moritz, it were fine because you used to go and get your food cooked and stuff. But then when you had to do your own breakfast and lunch, you go to the supermarket, and because you had no money, it were like tragic. I remember just being, I couldn't believe the price of things in Saint-Moritz. It were unbelievable. But it does sound good from Font-Romeu. And I know Jeed's did she go? Yeah, the first time she went was pre-Paris, wasn't it, I think.
Yeah, they had a better chalet than this. I heard it had a jacuzzi, sort of like everything.
Oh my God, that does not surprise me. Have I told you the story that when I went on holiday, when I was pregnant with Fred, and we passed a big chateau hotel, and I was like, whoa, look at that, St. John. Couldn't believe how fancy it was. And that's where you lot were.
Oh yeah. Oh what? the one in
Saint-Emilion.
Saint-Emilion. Oh, that one was so nice.
I know. Well, so when you go to Saint-Emilion and it's on your when you stayed at that hotel on your right, I was literally staying about 400 meters down the road on the left. Couldn't believe it. It just
Classic
totally.
you.
I know. I had no idea you lot were on camp there, and then I just happened to be on the same camp. But I think you left maybe 2 days after we arrived. So.
Oh really? Yeah, that was our little prep camp. then when we drove to Paris because all the train tracks had been set on fire. So
it's just
that was fun.
Yeah, that is. Well, they normally have a contingency, don't they? British triathlon. I remember in Tokyo they did, didn't they? In case we couldn't fly, I think from Miyazaki, they were like, it'll take however long on the train, which obviously didn't happen in the end. But yeah. Anyway, so we've flitted about a bit. But tell us, how's training going? How have you been getting on since last time we saw your race was in Singapore? Another podium for T100. Your second? Yeah.
Yeah.
The first was French Riviera.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Reju. And then I just did all the T100s from there, because I had to do 4 Ironmans to get my wild card to do a T100. And then once I got into T100, I managed to stay in T100. But
more than that,
to do the season, I was a bit competitive. But then to do the season, I had to finish every race to get a score for the end of the year. So it was pretty full on, but I was really glad to do it and a great experience to race at those start lists that were some of the best start lists I'd ever raced. So it was really good. And then backing up into this year, obviously I didn't do Singapore from last year, but I just seen all of the carnage thanks to someone on this call.
Some were better than others, Sam.
And I'm not gonna lie, Jess, like me and you are pretty similar. We're both pasty kids from Yorkshire, and I was bricking it after seeing you. Absolutely bricking it. But I just went 100% on the heat prep. I just went, I don't care if I can't run very fast. I'm going to go into this race heat adapted if it kills me. And it just actually just paid off because we didn't run very fast. I think I ran 340s for a T100, which is unbelievably slow. But hey, it was good enough on the day. And I think when it comes to races like that, super special, like heat races and humidity races, like preparation pays, and it did, luckily for me.
But didn't you? We had a conversation, I think, after, because I think you'd been struggling throughout the season a little bit in Dubai as well with the heat. And I totally redeemed myself from then after Singapore. And I didn't actually do any heat prep, but I just changed my sodium. So I remember talking to you about it, saying, have you checked your sodium, like what sort of sodium you're taking? And I hear that you did alter that from the end of last season, did you? Going into Singapore, which obviously you would have done anyway because it's extreme. But do you think that played a part?
100%, massive changes even before that. So I had problems in short course with what I just thought was dehydration, like going after aid stations. And then I used to get really bad cramps in my stomach that would completely take me out of races. I've missed the time cut for points in an Olympic distance race where I'd come off the bike at the same time as the leader and I'd finish outside the time cut to get points. So it was a real problem. And I just turned out like when I started when I started long course after Paris, I really, it just made me focus more on obviously aero, the TT bike, but also nutrition, because that's a huge part of our racing. And I did some tests. I then got the data. I worked really closely with Flow Bio and with the sweat patch or the sweat sensor on the arm and just collected months of data. And then it found out I was barely taking 100 to 300 milligrams of sodium per liter in my races, and I was losing almost 1,000.
Yeah,
bad and just useless when I came off the bike, and then I'd just start walking. And then I changed that, and all of a sudden, like you can actually start reaching your potential. So huge learnings.
It definitely affects you physically more than just cramp, though. There's performance limiters, I think, with sodium that are not recognised. People think sodium is only if you cramp or not. I could be completely wrong, but in my experience, it completely race performance as well.
Yes, I didn't cramp at all. Like in muscles. I didn't have muscle cramps. I just had a sore tummy, which I didn't know what was going on there. So if I did muscle cramp, then I would probably have thought about it sooner and been like, oh, maybe sodium. But instead, I was just going along thinking, maybe I just need to get more carbs down or more water down me.
Yeah.
But in the end, it was sodium.
Yeah, because I remember having that exact conversation with you. But it is very interesting. And I just think because of the side effects, like I said, everyone expects you to just cramp if it's sodium, but it obviously affects you in multiple different ways that people don't realise. I always think checking sodium now, I'm the same because, my God, it's
I guarantee Bex has got all of her athletes with their sodium absolutely measured down to the T, no?
No, I'd say probably not. Not to that extent. But what I think is quite interesting, you spoke about Singapore, Sam, and being heat adapted, and I think that's probably something which more and more people are having to adopt now, even in just general European races, because with the summer we've had. So can you share a little bit on like what your heat prep looked like and how you knew that you were heat adapted? What are you looking at to be like, yeah, I'm good to go?
Yeah, good question. So I'm super lucky. I have a great team around me who helps me with all of this. I'm still part of the British Triathlon World Class program. So our physiologist, Ben Scott, is fantastic at helping me through this protocol. And I'm obviously in Leeds, so I work closely with Leeds Beckett University and using the chambers there with Dan Snape, who helped me do the specific stuff for Singapore. But it's funny because people think heat prep is, you have to get into a heat chamber and, pay for all of this stuff. But really, I only did 2 heat chamber sessions where you go in on the bike and do an hour to 90 minutes. And actually, both of them weren't 100%. One of them was really hot, and then the other one maybe not hot enough. So they were a bit up and down. But what I found really useful was passive saunas. So spending 30 to 45 minutes in the sauna. All saunas are different. So everyone who's listening, just caveat this with some saunas are super hot, like 90, 95 degrees, and you probably won't be in there for as long. Other saunas are a bit cooler, but we had a core temperature measurement that I could sit in there and take and make sure that I'm in the right zone. And that zone for us was 1.5 degrees above resting, which for me was generally above 38.5 degrees core. So I do generally 5 or 6 of those. And then the real killers are the hot baths. So those are the bad ones. And if you're going to do them on your own, just make sure someone's there helping you, because you can faint and it's quite dangerous if you get those wrong. But they're really great for keeping that just, especially for somewhere humid like Singapore, the heat can't really escape from your body. So I found those the hardest. But you'd just sit in a 40-degree bath for 30 to 45 minutes again. And I do it generally off a track session. So the track in Leeds is right next to the physiology labs. So I'd finish my last rep at the 200 bit and then jog straight into the lab and straight into the hot bath there. So I was really lucky to have great help around me. But that meant that what markers you asked I was looking for, I was just looking for my sweat response. So that's how much I'm sweating in total liters, or milliliters per hour. And then also my sodium concentration in that sweat. So what you're looking for is your sweat response to go up. So you'd sweat more per hour, but then your sodium concentration in that sweat to go down. So you keep hold of those important electrolytes that you need. And then, that's basically the 2 markers that I was looking at. And that's when I knew I was heat adapted.
Did you use heart rate at all when you were in the hot baths and saunas?
The saunas I did, the hot baths I didn't.
Okay. I'm just thinking of other options for people that don't have the same facilities. It's just that's probably one of the only other options that you can see if you're improving with your heart rate, I guess. Bex?
Oh, it's in like when you're in the heat itself, if you keep an eye on your heart rate and it lowers over time.
Yeah, because obviously not everyone has the ability to check their sodium and sweat rate with patches.
Although I think there's a fairly simple way to do it in terms of like if you weigh in and weigh out. So if you weigh yourself before and then weigh yourself after, you can kind of get an idea of how much you're sweating. That's probably the route I'd go down. But interesting around your decision, Sam, to do a lot of your heat prep as passive rather than active. And that's something which I know with a few athletes that I work with where we do kind of repeated heat blocks through the year, I've moved more towards, because it just allows you to train more effectively and not compromise the training that you're doing as much. So yeah, would that be your experience, or is it just preference over sauna and hot bath?
Absolutely. Quality of training can be maintained with passive heat prep. Not to 100%, but if you try and do the kind of chamber work alongside your training, or heaven forbid you try and actually go hard in the chamber, the quality of training deteriorates from that. And I'm super low mileage and low intensity and low volume anyway. So for me, I need to, everything just low. So I just need to hang on to every little bit that I can do. And yeah, you are affected by it globally. You wake up tired if you did a big heat thing the night before, but overall, you can maintain a better quality of training for sure.
Do you think it contributed to your fitness improving as well? Because I know it's a common thing and common knowledge that heat prep actually enhances your performance. Do you feel like it did enhance your performance with little effort? Although it is effort, it's awful effort, but it's not
little
actual.
Effort.
It's the most horrendous effort ever, but it's not actually in line with triathlon training.
Absolutely, it did, especially for what I've found in my experience anyway, people like myself who are generally not very well suited for the heat. When we get heat prep right, we can make more gains. Whereas if you've got someone who is suited to the heat, they might do the same heat protocol, but not get as many improvements. So I find whenever I do heat, I come off the back of it much fitter than before. And there's the scientific reasons for that people call it a poor man's altitude. But I think heat's becoming very, very popular because it's a lot easier to do than altitude, and you do get a lot of benefit from it.
How has your training been since Singapore? Because I don't know if you want to talk about it or not, but you picked up an injury around Singapore lead up. How's that all been going?
Yeah, so a real unfortunate one for me, and kind of as someone who had been plagued by injuries in the past, I'd had a really good year, like a 2-year run of being healthy from kind of the start of 2024. We're looking to race the games, and then from that, the start of my long course career for a year and a half, I've been injury free, and that was through my coach and I, Reese Davies, set some guidelines for training. Everything that we'd learned from the last 10 years of myself being a professional athlete, we'd set guidelines of, right, this is how much you're gonna do: run session intensity, volume, total training, that intensity and volume in the week. And we stuck to those pretty well, and it worked up until Singapore, where I picked up a stress fracture in my second metatarsal. And there's obviously a lot of contributing factors when it comes to stress fractures as well.
Yeah.
But one that I could be one positive that I really did take from it wasn't like a metabolic problem. It was a mechanical problem. When we did the research afterwards, went to see the foot surgeon down in London. And we basically, when you get an injury, I think it's really important to find out how and why it happened so that you can stop it happening again. And that's what caused me to have 2 really good years of consistency. But obviously we made a mistake with shoe choice, if I'm being honest with you, and maybe a little bit too hard too soon in the year, with Singapore being early. And then paid the price for it. But now at 15 weeks on, and I just did my first run session back this week, last week. So yeah, we're going in the right direction.
That's fab. I mean, it's funny because obviously we've known each other many years, and I would say if you got injured, I was never not concerned, but you are like the best athletes come back from injuries I have ever known. And I don't know if you'll take offense to that, but you shouldn't, because your determination and just the way that you handle injuries is unbelievable. And not only that, is you're extremely talented and hardworking, that it actually doesn't affect you that much. You can still perform. Like most people, if they had, certainly prior to 2024, had such an inconsistent run of training, they wouldn't be able to do what you were able to do on such short amount of time and build up from training. So it's very, very impressive. So although I obviously was disappointed to hear that for you that you'd got an injury, I just knew that it would just be like a little blip in the road and it wouldn't really affect your season.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, I did think before Singapore, I'm not saying that everyone should race, with a broken foot, but I'd had some issues before that in January, December with some joint irritation on that second metatarsal, which I got scanned. We found out what it was. It got injected and that was going away. That was going in the right direction, thankfully. And then 2 weeks before I then put my new race shoes on that I was going to wear for this season. And they had the carbon rods in, which just ended up just attacking that second metatarsal. So that's what kind of set it off. And then I did have that decision to make before the race. Do I race or do I not race? And with San Fran and Singapore, the two first T100s being so close together, I was hoping that I could get through Singapore, maybe miss San Francisco, but then still be okay for the rest of the season. And I was hoping it would just be more joint irritation, and I could, because unfortunately what we need to talk about as well is it's kind of derailed my short course year 100% as well. And looking to come back for LA, it just means that with the point situation and not being able to race, it does mean that my road back to short course is now a lot harder.
Yeah. That was definitely going to be one of our questions, was what are you focusing on now? Because you are still on British Triathlon funding, which you mentioned earlier. And obviously that is Olympics and short course racing. So you've been dipping into long, but is that your main focus going forward now? Is it LA for 2028?
Yeah, obviously I'd love to obviously go to LA to start with, to make the team would be absolutely huge. And then to have a chance because if you're racing for Great Britain and if you make the relay team, you've got a strong chance of a medal. Plan A would be going as a medal contender myself as well. But obviously you need to prove that you can do that before you get selected. Because being in Great Britain, we have such, phenomenal talent. So you do need to, obviously, as Jess, as you've shown, you need to be medaling in World Series before you can hit that criteria to go as an individual medal contender in your own right. So yeah, obviously that is still something that I wanted to do and change the color of the medal that we won in Paris. But now it's a lot harder to do that. However, as an athlete, you want to be doing well. And if you're doing well, you generally migrate towards what you're doing well in, and the T100 and the long distance stuff does suit me. But I always absolutely want to keep that door open. If I can get back into the LA 2028 team, that would be phenomenal.
It does make me a bit curious as to whether, like, longer term with T100s and ITU now working together. So next season the series will be launched as the T25, T50, T100, if I understand it correctly. But at the moment, exactly the position you're in, Sam, there's the ability to race across the breadth of the sport is quite limited. That kind of line of Olympic sprint and then into longer distance, because of the ranking points and where that leaves people. And I almost have a weekly headache at the moment with Harry for that very reason, because the male Brits have got good ranking and they're so closely packed together. One weekend of racing takes you from being like second ranked Brit guaranteed starts to then suddenly a sixth ranked Brit and probably going to be subbed out. And so it's extremely challenging. How do you see a solution for that? Would you like to see the ability for people to race across the breadth of the sport preserved, or do you think it should be if you're racing Olympic and sprint, you should be prioritized above anybody else?
Sorry, what was the last bit of that question?
If you're racing, if you're kind of dedicating your time to Olympic and sprint distance racing, should you be, I guess, prioritized above, somebody that's trying to do it all by way of ranking?
Yeah. Well, yeah, absolutely. I think it's the way of looking at that problem is you're still looking at it through the old lenses. I think we need to look at this problem through a new set of lenses and bring in what short course can learn from long course. In fact, I asked Sam this question, Sam Renew, down in London when they did that media of what can each organization learn from the other. So in Ironman World Champs, for example, you'll have about 15 Germans on the start line because they're the best athletes in the world and they should be racing. My personal view is I've always hated this. You're only allowed 5 athletes from your nation on the start line because it creates this politics and this dilemma of I have to now race here just to jump a fellow athlete from your own nation because your nation just happens to be really good at triathlon. I personally believe that the best athletes should be on the start line. And so hopefully, the direction that T50 and T100 are going, I'm hoping to see a lot more positivity in just getting the best athletes racing the best races. So if you've got Harry on the start line, he is an absolutely top 50 athlete in the world, should be racing every World Series and shouldn't have the politics of you're only allowed 5 Brits on the start line to be stopping him from doing that. Whereas another athlete from Nation X only has to worry about getting the points to race. Now I can see why they do that because they want to give other nations opportunities, but Harry, say if he's not top 5 Brit, doesn't get a race, but then we put the next Spanish or the next American or the next Netherlands athletes on the start line, which doesn't seem right to me. I think we need to reserve developmental spaces in the races so that we can grow the sport in areas of the world where it needs growing. But I do think the best athletes should be on the start line at every race if they want to race.
It's tricky debate. I think it's the same with the Olympics, though. You go to the Olympics, don't you? And it's probably the weakest race you'll have all year. If you race all year doing the World Series and then the Olympics is later on that year, it'll probably be the weakest field that you'll come across because for that exact same reason.
Yeah, the Olympics is a completely different race because it doesn't have the depth and it also has domestiques, which you never get in any other World Series. So, without Dylan McCullough drilling it on the Chase Pack 2, is that race coming together? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Like Aaron Royal did the same thing in Tokyo. It's just a different race, the games, and that's what kind of makes it quite special.
Yeah. Looking forward this year, what races do you plan to do? Is it all going to be short course from now on? The problem is you can't turn away T100 when A, you're very good at it and B, you get a decent paycheck from it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great time to be a professional athlete, to be fair, in the sport of long course. So I'll do 100% target the T100 series because they've been really good to me and they've helped me elevate my performance. So there's only 4 more races though. If I can get France, Saudi and Qatar done under the belt, then 3 more races. That's a series done.
Yeah.
For us lads. And then obviously there's loads more time in the rest of the year. So I'll be definitely looking to probably go to some World Cups, points back on the board. And then there's a late Abu Dhabi now on the calendar, which will be when I'll be peaking for T100. So I might get lucky that not many people might be wanting to crack on at that time of year. And
when is that then? November?
That's the same weekend as it's November, same weekend as T100 Dubai for the women.
Oh, okay, yeah.
How have you found, Sam, the men and women being split this year from a T100 standpoint?
Yeah, it's obviously hard when we were together for so long and then being split. The change isn't nice. I can 100% see why it's been done, and to keep the T100 going as a business to then hopefully break even and then give us more opportunities in the future. It just has to be done that way now. Obviously, I'd like to see the male and the female races back together on the same weekend. And to be fair, I think T100 want to do that as well. It's just with 20 athletes on the start line, the T100 service is like no other race. Like we get like bike mechanics, everyone's sorted. We're on the same hotel. Everyone, if you want something, you can ask for it and you'll probably get it. It's a great organization if you get a mechanical, you're sorted straight away. Because there's so few of you. And that's the benefit of having only 20 on the start line. We're asking for more. Like I say, I sit on the athlete board of the PTO. So we do want to see more athletes in the races. So it's not a select group, and we do get listened to. So hopefully you might see some changes. But yeah, I do find it's a really good, they put on a great product for the athlete to race. I just would like to see the men and the women back together again, hopefully soon.
I think when it's male and females together, it just creates more of a hype, more people tune in to watch it, etc. So I'm sure they want to get back to that position, but I totally understand. I've been in some of the meetings at the end of last year that it's a transition year.
Yeah.
So hopefully,
and it's also the same as like they did to Ironman do the same thing, as in they have male only pro races and female only pro races. So it's not just T100, but T100 seems to get slated for it more than Ironman.
I think it's probably been a bit of a double whammy this year with T100 though, in that they split the races out, but then they've also struggled to get the best athletes there on the same day. And so I think arguably what Ironman have I say done better, it's worked in their favour, is that with the races where it is split male and female, they've been really exciting races because they've had the best athletes racing. And I think that's probably the difference. Whereas last year, I would say that combination of male females together and the quality of the fields, T100 was something which you were kind of looking forward to and aware of. But everything has to kind of go through a transition, and it's really obvious in the whole sport is undergoing a restructure at the moment from how it's all been set up and marketed. So it'd be interesting to see next year the rebirth of the World Series racing and all of that as to where that goes, because I'd love to see that grow in popularity again and have more publicity around it.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
When is the actual transition to the T100, T50? Because John got very confused the other day because I think T100 posted about the London World Series race, about the result there, and he didn't say anything about T50. He just said it was just T100. So John was like, and do you know what? John does not follow the sport. So he was saying, if you didn't follow the sport, that would be very confusing.
I know, and it's, as I say, it is transitional. The reason why T100 posts about London is because they bought London. So they owned that triathlon. T100, the PTO put London World Series on as like the first event. Just where they were going to announce the T50. So they owned that London triathlon itself, and that's why they cared about it a lot. You'll see it next year. Next year is the start of the T50 and the T100, with the aim of streamlining, just so that people, I mean, John knows more than most about triathlon as well.
Well, more than most, but
but so hopefully the most can understand the distances a bit better, kind of understand triathlon as a whole a bit better. So yeah, next year is when you'll see the T50 and the T100. But as I say, being on the board is fantastic, and I can see the direction they're going. And I'm not allowed to tell you a lot about where it's going, but I can say that there are really exciting things to come, and hopefully we'll get people on board and create a better product for the athletes and the viewers as well.
Just going back a bit to you, Sam, you mentioned earlier that you would classify yourself as a kind of low mileage, low stimulus almost kind of guy. So I was just interested, what does that mean? Like what do you see as being low mileage compared to like the norm?
So well, I can talk my mileage. So in 2023, I think I picked up, that was my last like big injury. 2023, I ran 35k a week. 2024, 40k a week, and then 2025, 50k a week. So that's I've never been able to run more than 50k a week on average for the year. So kind of hoping to grow that to 60 this year, but we picked up another stressor.
God damn it.
So back to the drawing board we go.
Yeah. Good luck with the negotiation.
Anyway, but so that's running, and that's running generally be the sort of running injuries that I pick up. So running 50k a week is probably for me like where I sit on average for the year. Obviously there's higher weeks and lower weeks, but that's generally the yearly average. In terms of total volume, I mean, I have it all in a massive like Excel spreadsheet for the last 5 years, which I manually input my week sort of, and then I color code it into like yellow, orange, and green, and then red for if I've been injured.
I've done that for yeah. There's something quite cathartic about that process, Sam. Of like,
and I can go on Excel and I can scroll. I'm literally scrolling up now, and I can see 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, and I can see these bands of red where I've been injured, and I can see why. Because if I average 4 weeks at like 28 hours or 26 hours for like for 4 and then 4 for 8 weeks at a time, there's then a big area of red. So I realized that my body can't handle over 25 hours a week on average for more than 8 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so that's the kind of stuff that I learned from that. And then, so I generally sit between 20 and 25 hours a week. Cause I say that's low mileage. I also train in Leeds that's renowned for having super high mileage athletes.
Yeah, that's the thing, is you're surrounded by people that are doing far too much, probably. That's the difference.
So my perspective is everything, isn't it? And my perspective is that I do not as much as what I'd like to do, but I do as much as I can, and then, have to be disciplined in not training, to be honest. It's hard to get yourself out the door sometimes, but in my opinion, it's harder to have to stay inside and watch people train. It's tough.
You're very good. You're a bit like Georgia, though, I think. Maybe over the years you've got used to it, but just knowing your own body and knowing what you need and not worrying about everybody else. And that is something that I think any elite athlete, if they can figure that out and stop thinking about what other people are doing, then it's like the golden ticket. And it's the hardest
takes the stress away.
Yeah,
it really does, because otherwise you're just thinking about other people and what I could be doing. But I found it the best. It's basically a coping mechanism, if I'm being honest with you, is just not give a monkeys about what the person next to me is doing and just focus on myself. And then, everything becomes that little bit easier.
Yeah.
When you're building up to races, Sam, and like a races that you're really wanting to deliver at, how do you assess your readiness for those races or your performance level? Are you someone that has key sessions that they repeat at various points through the year, or like what are you specifically looking for to be like, yeah, I'm fit, I'm good to go?
I don't have any of those. I'm always building, so I can't do a big key session or this, that, and the other. I just generally try and get myself into the best block of training I can do. And that's just repeating what I know I can do and hopefully moving things on here and there. So it's not the same stimulus. I like to change the stimulus up a little bit, slightly within reason. But it's, if I can do this block of training, that race is probably going to go well. If I can do this block of training, that race is probably going to go well. There's no key session for me because I'm not a hero session kind of athlete. I don't do a lot of
hero to zero.
A lot of big sessions. I focus more on the block. And if I can stand back and think helicopter view, big picture, you know what, like right now, for example, I've just started running again, but if I can get 6 weeks of running in, and then I can stand on the start line at Nice World Champs, and then Frejus T100, like I've no right to do well, but you've got to be confident in your own ability.
That was one of my questions. Sorry, Jess, but
no, you're right.
How many, what do you constitute as a block? How many weeks do you feel you need of consistent training to be in a good place?
A good question. I think
3 weeks.
To be honest, Jess kind of said it. I get quite lucky that I think within 3 weeks I'll be back.
Literally, we're laughing, but I am not even joking. Sammy's ridiculous at coming back from injuries.
But I don't think that's very good. I always want to be better. I'll be back to where I know I can be, but that's decent. That's all right. But I just want to be so in the block. I'm hoping to now take another step forward and be a little bit better.
I think that can help subconsciously, mentally as well, because you're never putting all your eggs in one basket or putting too much pressure on yourself, because you're always thinking, I'm building through this, I'll get better through the season. But actually, you're going into that race and you're more relaxed about it. You don't deserve to have a good race, but then you do, because you're actually really relaxed and you know that you're building to something else. Do you put pressure on yourself or not? Really badly.
The pressure. The pressure element comes internally, yeah, but pressure's a privilege, and I won't have any pressure on me because there's better athletes on the start line than me. But I have every opportunity to go and beat them. So that's where I kind of look at it from a pressure standpoint. I'm actually really looking forward to the next block after these few races as well already, because I know that then I'll just be able to get better there and then go race again. So what'll be will be after this block. I just need to, enjoy each day as it comes and tick off each session, and that's not going to change. I'm going to be as good as I am in those races, and then I'm looking forward to the next block, and then hopefully I'll be a bit better in those next races.
No, you built yourself up to Singapore, delivered a fantastic race there, got injured, and the way you talk about all of those events is with an extremely positive lens, and there's always kind of something to be gained from it. I'm just curious, what are the parts of triathlon that you really dislike and you find really challenging?
I think just to address the positivity, I do have a lot of bad luck, but I don't have a lot of bad luck compared to other people I know who have really bad luck. There's a lot of people who have it worse than I do. And so that perspective really helps keep you grounded, and I think having people around you as well does help with that element. But there are some people I know who have it much worse, and the most positive people but now you're like, wow, still getting hiccup after hiccup. But to then address the next part of the question, the bits I don't like, we did almost touch on it before. It's really hard to know. My goal when I started triathlon was to reach my potential. I didn't have tangible goals. Medals are medals. You could do all the training in the world and there's 3 people could beat you on the day. And then you come away with nothing. You get no interviews, none of this, none of that. The medals are, they're super great when you achieve them, but if you don't achieve them, does it make you less of a person? No, it doesn't. I think how you act day to day and how you carry yourself really matters. But what really brings me down is knowing that I might actually have to hang up the shoes and just know that I didn't actually get to do what I wanted to do to reach my potential. That I didn't actually get to do that training volume, or didn't actually get to see if that training program could have worked for me. because of the setbacks that I've had. That's the bit that I really kind of worry about, have nightmares about.
What would that be though? If it's not medals and you don't have goals, how will you know if you ever leave the sport satisfied? Or do you already know that you feel like you're never going to hit that high mileage training, which ultimately you might not do any better off anyway?
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that I'm generally coming to terms with, and probably me 5 years down the line will have a much better answer for you right now. But I'm not, I'm not there yet. I'm still making mistakes. I'm still getting things wrong, and so yeah, maybe one day I'll learn to live with it and be like, hey, you know what? That was the best I could have done. You gave it a good crack. Well played. But
yeah,
I'm not. I'm just not there yet.
you're only a young'un.
Yeah, you got years left. And, you know, from what you've described, it's bloody shoes that were the problem. No, nothing.
What shoes were there?
They're the only shoes with carbon rods in. So I ran in the Adidas Evo SLs the whole of last year as my like daily session shoe, because really nice foam and they have no plate, so I don't really run in a plate when I train. And they were fantastic. So I figured the carbon shoe version of them would be all right as well. But no, those I put them on for one run off the bike on the Sunday, and then the last 3K of my track session on the Tuesday. And halfway through that 3K of 200 on, 200 off, I felt it go. And then after that, for the next week and a bit, it was quite sore going into Singapore. So I won't make that mistake again. But you know,
No.
you've got to.
I think it's a fairly common thing, or relatively common thing, though, that people don't really think about is carbon shoes are great for some and will really enhance your running performance. But I don't think anybody goes into buying a pair of carbon shoes and thinks, what's best for my biomechanics to prevent injury? They'll go into it like, what will make me quickest? And marketing does a great job with a whole range of shoes. But yeah, the amount of injuries and niggles and things that have appeared through wearing carbon, is pretty high from the athlete group that I work with. So yeah, I'm always the one going, are you sure you want to go down this route? I'm not a fan of training in carbon all the time. But yeah, I think there's a level of caution that needs to be taken with them.
Shall we wrap it up there? I wanted to do half an hour to 45 minutes because I know what it's like being on the training camp. Certainly with no Wi-Fi.
We're his best entertainment tonight. What are you on about? We've just him.
Oh, what a way to come over and get some Wi-Fi, Sam.
Yeah, this has been one of the highlight evenings, to be fair. Usually it's card games and I go to bed as a loser. So
yeah. Well, this evening I had a chat with Bex and Jess, and they'll be like, all right, brilliant. But thank you so much for coming on, Sam. It'd be great to have you back on the pod again after you've finished the T100 season, or even after some of the T100 races, if you didn't mind, and just give us a bit of an insight.
And hopefully we'll have a bit more of an insight into where it's going as well.
Yeah,
which will be quite exciting.
Yeah, definitely. And you've been a great guest, and we really appreciate you coming on.
Oh, thanks, guys, as always. It's been fun.
And enjoy the rest of your camp, and good luck with the rest of the training for the season.
Thanks, Bex. Thanks, Jess.
Wish you the best.
Samuel. You're a little love.
I think it's refreshing to have someone on that's able to perform to such a high level through what he considers like low mileage, and probably from a professional athlete standpoint, it would be considered on the lower end. But equally, I think it's about figuring out what works for you, and not everybody is designed to be just an endurance junkie that trains every hour of the day. And what I do find interesting, though, is it strikes me that that's what he's chasing. Is almost, I didn't ask him, but in retrospect should have done. What does he mean by potential, and is that potential more of like the training volume he's able to train at, rather than like the output of a result, and the assumption that if he's able to train more, his results will be better. But yeah, it's an interesting one.
Yeah, that's what I kind of tried to ask, but I think I asked it in a bad way. But that's what I was surmising, is if he never does that mileage, is he then thinking he'll never ever be or get to his potential?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an interesting conundrum. And I think it's probably like heavily skewed by his environment of what, you know, if of just what the culture of Leeds as a training environment has typically been, and the measure of success is it has been regarded as like a high mileage program. But I wonder if he was kind of in a, not saying he should move from Leeds, but if he had kind of a more balanced view of different ways people train, maybe that would alter his view on what he's aspiring to.
The main issue athletes have is they're constantly having a race, it doesn't go well, or they maybe are not getting to their potential. They look at other people rather than actually looking at their own performances and what they can focus on themselves. They then see what others are doing and think that that's what they should be doing. And that is probably the worst thing they can do. And that's what I mean by Georgia. She figured that out years and years ago. And I honestly think that is one of her main strengths, is that she don't care less about what anyone else is doing. And that is such a massive strength for her. And I would say on the whole, Sam's very good at that. I would have said that he's pretty similar, but obviously he still has that want to push on a little bit more, which is understandable because he does do a lot less than everybody in Leeds, and he's had to build up slowly as well. But I definitely think that is one of the key things to being an elite athlete, is not caring about what anyone else is doing and focus on yourself. But
what I found interesting is that that little spreadsheet that he was talking about, and I've not had a conversation with Sam about it, but I remember doing exactly the same thing with an athlete that I coached who was pretty injury prone. And you think of all the technology that exists, all the charts that you can see in Training Peaks, and now with AI and all the rest of it, you could have, you've got an abundance of data, but just the basic principle of noting how many hours did you swim, how many hours did you bike, how many hours did you run, and having it color coded is, what means you're building fitness, what means you're maintaining fitness, what means you're losing fitness. I think that practice, to be able to look back on over numerous years, when you put it all together, it's amazing the patterns that you see. And I often wonder how many athletes go back and look retrospectively over multiple years and go that, like, actually all the answers are probably there for you. It's like people will often gravitate towards looking outside rather than in, and look at what everyone else is doing. So some useful stuff there.
Anyway, I'm roasting in this gym, so we will be on next week. Oh no, we definitely won't be on. Like I said earlier, we won't be on Monday because that's potentially moving day. So we will TBC next week.
We'll probably end up skipping a week, and we'll be back in 2 weeks, and when Jess will be in a palace
with a Wi-Fi. See you next week.